of our Friends series. Hey, show of hands, who's been impacted, encouraged by this series so far? Hey, if I'm being completely honest with you, I know that I just preached a few weeks ago, and I'm preaching again tonight, but can I tell you that these messages I'm truly being convicted and challenged by in my own friendships in my personal life, to lead in love when it's not always easy, to love instead of hold on to bitterness or hold on to my pride. And so, man, don't forget the things that God's spoken to you in these moments, because in every season we have friends, and in every season we need more of Jesus to help him in our friendships. And so tonight is not just a night to hang out. It's not just a night to be with your boo thing. It's not a night to be distracted on your phone trying to get the attention of that boy or that girl, or scrolling on Snapchat, or talking to the people next to you. It's not what these next few moments are about. I want to encourage you to lean in like you never have before. Because maybe you came tonight and you don't even want to be here right now. But can I tell you that God wanted you to be here? And he's about to speak to you in a profound way. And I don't want you to miss it. And so if you're talking and I see you, I might call you out. You might get called out. Because I don't want you to be so distracted that you miss what God's trying to speak to you. And so let's be a people that engage and lean in tonight to the Word of God and to who he's calling us to be. Better friends and better followers of him. And so if you would go ahead and stand to your feet for the reading of the Word. If you have your Bible, maybe the Bible app, I want you to open it up to Matthew 7. Matthew 7. And this is what we're going to read. Listen to this. Matthew 7, it says, "Everyone then who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house. But it did not fall, because it had been founded on the rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man," that's crazy, fools, "who built his house on the sand. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell. And great was the fall of it." And when Jesus finished these sayings, the crowds were astonished at his teaching. For he was teaching them as one who had authority and not as their scribes. The title of my message for tonight, if you're taking notes, which, I mean, it's literally who we are, so I hope you're taking notes. Hey, the title of my message tonight is "I'm Still Standing." As you have a seat, look to the person next to you and say, "I'm still standing." I'm still standing. Some of y'all still be standing literally right now. You can have a seat. I'm still standing. We're not still talking. Sorry if that was a little confusing, standing, not talking. Hey, who here is a fan of the movie Inside Out 2? Oh, okay. I see those hands. Okay, you can put your hands down. Hey, can I just tell you, I don't know if you feel me, but those movies make me emotional. Like, Inside Out 2, y'all, hit hard. Like, the scene where, what was it? The scene where somebody was like, anxiety, you have no room here. I was like, oh Lord, I needed that word. Like, this could be preached on. We need another part of this, okay? It's relatable, right? Right? I feel like the emotions that they talk about are emotions that, especially in the season of life that that you're in, that you're stepping into, if you're in middle school, like you start experiencing some of these emotions you maybe didn't even realize were present, like anxiety, like embarrassment, like all these things that come with joy and sadness and anger. And it's a cute, fun movie, but it's relatable because we've been there, right? And Riley in this movie, she's 13, and so she is fresh in her teenage years. Some of you in here, you're about to be, or you just were fresh in your teenage years, and with that comes a lot of changes that you're experiencing, right? The teenage years are no joke, right? You go through boys, you don't even sound like the same person. Like after the first few years, like I'm like, who are you? This is crazy. And so there's a lot of changes that are happening. And in the movie, if you've seen it, you're going to know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I'm going to share this part with you. And it's towards the beginning of the movie. And Riley's a hockey player. Any hockey players in here? Oh, can I tell you? I think that's awesome. I literally could never. I would like break my face, bust it open. But that's really? Okay, that's impressive. Didn't know that. Hey, so she's a hockey player. And she has these two best friends. And they play hockey together. They're on the same hockey team. They go to the same school. They're like the friends that they do like everything together, and they're inseparable no matter what. And so it's summertime, and Riley and her best friends are heading to this hockey camp, I think it is. And so they're going for the next week, and this coach asked them to come be a part of it because she saw how great they were. And so they're in the car on the way. Does anybody remember, like, no, maybe where I'm going with this? They're in the car on the way, and Riley is just going on and on in the movie about how excited she is for this next year, that they're going to get to play hockey together, and it's going to be so much fun. And you know, like when you're keeping something from your friends, but they don't know that you're keeping something, and so like her friends in the movie are like making that face like, oh my gosh, like she doesn't know. And Riley's like just going in, and you can tell, I'm like, ooh, like what is the tea? Like I was like, what do they know that we do not know as the viewers? And so all of a sudden you kind of see Riley like, they go inside her brain, and I don't even think anxiety was there yet, my gosh, but they're like freaking out like, what do they know that we don't know? And all of a sudden one of her best friends blurts out like, we're actually not going to the same school as you, and we're not going to be able to be together. And Riley's like, you're kidding, right? Like, Riley was crushed by this. And so they get to this hockey camp, and her emotions fueled so much of her behavior that she wouldn't even talk to her friends anymore. She didn't even want to play on the same team as them at the camp. She didn't even want to be around them when they were in the locker room. Like, she completely distanced herself, and she let everything change because of news she found out and the emotions that she was experiencing. See, emotions aren't bad, and we learned that from the movie. Like, we have emotions for a reason, but it's how we manage them and how we let them create worlds around us and how we live because of if we're letting our emotions just indicate how we're feeling or actually lead us. And Riley was so crushed that for a lot of the movie, she wasn't even friends with the people that she really loved. And some of us in here tonight, we're experiencing changes in our friendships where we're Riley's friends and we're like, what in the world is happening? Like, maybe you're in here and it's changed to where you know a friend that just moved. You are the person that just moved, and you're changing to a whole new place, and you're like, I don't even know who my people are yet. Or you have friends and you thought they were friends, but then all of a sudden the situation completely changes and the people change, and you're like, what in the world is going on? Or maybe you're the friend that's changed, and you let tension build up, and you responded in a way, and now your friends are like, girl, what's wrong with you? Boy, what's wrong with you? Because the reality is that change is constantly happening, right? I'm not the same person that I was a year ago. You're not the same person you were a year ago. Your friendships are constantly changing and evolving and growing. And for a lot of us, though, we respond like Riley because change is uncomfortable in friendships. It's hard. It can feel awkward. And so many of us are experiencing so many changes. I've talked to you. I've heard stories. And it's crushing you. And it's shaking you up. And I think the tension within this is that so many of us, we're so shaken up sometimes when things change in friendships, when things change in circumstances, because our foundation isn't solid on the person that it's meant to be on in the first place. And we build our foundation around friends. We build our foundation around certain people in our life. And so just like we read in this passage, when the flood comes, when the rain falls, because our foundation isn't solid on the one it's meant to be solid on, we're so shaken up that we drift and we're less of who actually God's called us to be because our foundation isn't in the right place. See, we have friends that have moved, that have left. Man, there's situations I probably don't even know about of all the changes that you're experiencing in yourself and in your friendships. And we have to come back to the foundation that is true, and that no matter what storm comes, what changes come in our friendships, that Jesus, the rock on which we can stand when he is our foundation, we don't have to always be shaken up. We don't always have to stay discouraged. Because although we need people, we know our foundation isn't founded on people. It's not founded on our friends. It's not founded on what they think about me or what they say about me or how they may treat me. It's founded on Jesus. But man, yeah, we can celebrate. But so many of us in this place, we're building our life around the wrong foundation. And we read in Matthew that the man who built his house on the rock, when all the changes came, when things shifted, when the rain fell, nothing fell apart because he knew the foundation that he was in and that he was on. And can I tell you that it's way harder to build a foundation that's solid on Jesus? I think that's why so many times we just build the foundation around people. Because sometimes following Jesus is hard. And we don't always understand what he's doing, and we can't always see him. And so we just think, well, this person's giving me the validation I need. They've made me feel good. They get it. We've been through this, and so I'm just going to build upon this friendship and build upon what I know right now with these people. But it falls apart. And Riley in the movie Inside Out experienced a falling apart that didn't have to take place if her foundation would have been founded on Jesus. That doesn't mean that she can't be sad about what's happening, right? It doesn't mean that she can't feel what she needs to feel. But she doesn't have to be less of who God's called her to be when changes come, because her foundation is on not just in the right place, but on the right person, that is Jesus. And so what's your foundation tonight? Who are you building your foundation around? When things fall apart, are you shaken up so much, or do you still have the peace knowing that he's with you, that he's gone before you, and that even whenever things may change with others, he remains the same? And can I tell you in my own life, middle school and high school, hands down, were the hardest years for me in my friendships. You can ask my mom back there, like she saw me, having a lot of breakdowns, feeling really lonely, because friendships were hard. Things changed so much in friendships for me. And can I tell you, like, I know that there's probably things I could have done better as a friend because I'm not perfect. But man, the moments of feeling like one day I was loved by a friend and the next I was betrayed, wow, it sucked. And not knowing what happened and just having to still show up to school and be in class with the people and think, I literally don't even know why she hates me or why she literally won't look at me, but here we are. Or feeling so alone in my faith that when I would just want to talk about Jesus with my friends, I would just get stares and I'm like, okay, well, this is awkward. Like, all right. And so I just remember moments feeling lonely and feeling betrayed and feeling misunderstood. And so there was that tension in my own life of, Rachel, who are you building your foundation around right now? Because the reality is change is gonna happen. Change is gonna come. People are gonna change. And so I was challenged at your age, where you're at right now, to really sit on who I was building my foundation on. Because man, was it hard and it was lonely. And so can I tell you that I get it? I understand. But I also know that you're not alone and that Jesus wants to meet you right now in the midst of the changes, in the midst of the trials, and in the midst of it all to say, I am the one that you need to be standing on because I will be the one to get you through. There's a verse in Hebrews, and it's simple, but man, is it powerful. It's Hebrews, should be up on the screen. It says, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever. You see, people, come on, he's the same. He doesn't change. See, people may be the same yesterday, but not today, and then forever, you may never know. But Jesus Christ, he's the same to you today. He was the same yesterday, and he is for the rest of your lives. And this means that in who he is to you, it never changes. That he is consistent in his love, in his devotion, in his kindness, in his grace, and in his forgiveness to you. And nothing you could say or do could remove him because it's who he is. And man, was this an encouragement to me, and it still is to this day. And this is a reason why I can say I'm still standing. I'm not still standing because I've gotten all the answers. I'm not still standing because I figured it all out in my friendships. I'm still standing because the solid rock of Jesus, who is my firm foundation, has never left me, has always been the same, and is the greatest friend that I could ever ask or think or imagine. And some of us in here just need to have a greater and closer friendship to Jesus. And the moments when things are changing, and the moments when it feels lonely. Because it's easy to hear this and know it, but it's different when you experience it. When you're sitting with him, and you're sitting in his presence, and you're meditating on his word, and you're talking to him in prayer, and you worship him not just when there's a song, but you worship him because that's who he is. See, he's the same God. He's the same God that's with you right now in your situation, and he'll be the same when he's brought you through it. And he's not going to leave you in the in-between. And some of us just need that reminder of that truth and to actually experience that truth, that he is the same. How good is he for that? He's the same to you, and he's not going to leave you. And he's not going to betray you. And he's only going to draw closer to you when you feel your loneliest. And so there's this quote. It's by a pastor. His name is Tony Evans. And I have the quote on the screen. Tony Evans is his name if you want to write it down, because his name definitely isn't on this quote. But I want you to follow along with me as I read this. This pastor, he says, I once had a crack on a wall of my house. Tony's going somewhere with it, just trust. No matter how many times I had it fixed, the crack came back. Finally, I learned the problem wasn't with the wall. The problem was a shifting foundation. Many of us have cracks in our lives, emotional, relational, financial, but we address the symptoms and not the source of the problem. See, many of us in this place have cracks in our relationships, in our friendships. And we're not seeing progress because we're too busy addressing the symptoms instead of the source of the problem. See, symptoms that we try to address is just avoiding the conflict to keep the peace a little longer. I'd rather just avoid it in total and maintain the peace for as long as I can than actually talk about it and make changes towards unity. See, I'd rather just give the symptom of superficial apologies and saying I'm sorry but not actually meaning it, just so that they can hear me say it, but I'm still going to hold on to the bitterness and resentment for what they did. Or temporary distractions is a symptom, right? We're just going to distract ourselves with social media and TikTok and hyping up all the people that we know actually aren't true friends and trying to make us feel better about ourselves and be distracted for a moment instead of actually going to the one who's going to fix the problem. You see, we go to surface level forgiveness, right? I'll forgive you now, but until you do me wrong again. See, we blame external factors and we use this as a symptom. Well, my friendships, it's just school and it's sports and I'm stressed and I'm tired and I don't have time for all this. And see, we use these symptoms because we think that's going to fix the crack on the wall. But until we actually go to what the crack needs, it's always going to be present. See, you got to get rid of the symptoms that you think you can do in your own strength and you think are going to work for you. See, you need a foundation that will not shift. Can I tell you what the definition of remain is? Remain is to continue to exist, especially after other similar or related people or things have ceased to exist. You see, you need a foundation that won't shift, one that's going to remain and not die after time or after changes. Because can I tell you that friendships will shift, that you will shift, that family's going to shift, that circumstances are going to shift, that your hobbies will shift, that your passions will shift. But the one who remains the same, who never dies away, is Jesus. And we need to be people that we have a foundation that doesn't shift. So when the rain falls, when the changes come, when the wind blows, we know that we're standing on the rock. And we know that no matter what changes we're experiencing in our friends and in our relationships, that we are secure because of who God is and who He's called us to be tonight. You need a foundation shift. You need a foundation shift. Not one that will constantly shift in every season, but one that will remain the same when the friendships do shift. And man, something that I thought of when I was reading that passage, what was this idea of standing on Jesus. That we need to be people that stand on Jesus. And see, I don't mean literally standing on His head and standing on top of Him. See, when you stand on something, you're founded on it, you're dependent on it, you're based upon it. And we need to be people. And I proclaim to you tonight that we will be people, that we're standing on Jesus, that we're not dependent more on our friends than we are on Him. We're not more dependent on who we could be and our confidence more than on Him. Oh, come on, Youth for the One. Come on. Who wants to be a people that is standing on their Savior tonight? Because when you're standing on Him, change, but you're standing on him, you'll still be standing. That whenever you may not understand why, and you may not see the progress or the outcome yet, but you stand on him in the midst of it, you'll be standing on the other side. And we need to be people tonight that say, I'm standing on Jesus. I'm standing on my Savior. I'm not standing anymore on a friend, on a person, no matter how good they may be, because God is greater. Come on, lift your hands in this place. If you say, I'm gonna be somebody that's standing on Jesus. I wanna be somebody that when friendships change and when things don't go my way, I don't have to fall apart because I know who I'm standing on, and he is my firm foundation. I just feel like I need to say this tonight. Some of you just need to know right now that Jesus is the greatest friend. In conversations I've had with some of you, can I tell you, I don't have all the answers to all the problems that you're facing. I don't know everything. But the one thing that I'll constantly tell you if you come to me when you're experiencing the changes and when you're struggling is, may you find yourself closer to Jesus in his presence than you ever have. Because that's what got me through. And that's what's gonna get you through. In the moments when I was the loneliest, I realized how great of a friend he really was. And today I stand in answered prayers of doing life with girls that I prayed for years. But I know that I don't have to depend on them, that my foundation isn't based on them. I need them because we need community. We want you to experience community. You're made to be in life, to do life with people, but not to be founded on them. And so as you leave this place tonight, find time to just be with Jesus. Because he's only spoken things to me in my time with him that are personal to my relationship with him, and he wants to do the same for you in your relationship with him. He's the greatest friend. Jesus. He's who you need. You don't need me. You don't need Larry. You need Jesus. The things that you look for in people, it's in him. And so we're gonna go into a song that I know you know. I need you to hear me. We're gonna go into a song, I need you to hear me out, about how when the rain comes, when the wind blows, we're singing out. Listen up. We're singing out that our house is founded on him. He's our firm foundation, not them, but him. And so can we lift our hands in this place? I want to see every hand lifted from leaders to students.